The Bostonian is Matt Perrault.
This is our city.
The book is Dave Sharapan.
Pay him. Pay that man his money.
Together, they are the Bostonian versus the book.
You covered 12. Covered!
Follow the show on Twitter at Boston versus the book.
How do you like them apples?
Bringing you the best insight on sports betting news, Matt and Dave's daily picks, and an entertaining and unfiltered dive into the sports betting industry. Here's Dave Sharapan and Matt Perrault.
And here we go.
What's up, guys? How are you? Welcome into a Monday morning, Monday afternoon, depending on where you are, episode of the Bostonian versus the book. My name is Matt Perrault. You guys can follow us on Twitter, X at Boston versus the book. We're live on our YouTube channel at Boston versus the book and replayed on Sports Grid Television each and every night. I'll say a quick little thing on the Sirius XM news that came down recently, so I'll give you that here in just 1 second. We got a bunch of things to get into. Little League Baseball, NFL news, college football week 0, all sorts of things. Big news of the industry going on when something happened with DraftKings today. So all that coming up today on the program. I will say this at the top of the show, and some of you commented on this already. Some of you had conversations online about all of this. And, well, I'm not one to take things quietly, right? And I get upset and I get angry and I get frustrated by people all the time in this business. And there is no propriety when it comes to segments in media. There's none, okay? I have copied and or borrowed things like Fight Song Friday, for instance, okay? Fight Song Friday is not unique to this show. It wasn't unique to my radio show. It wasn't unique to my show in Omaha. It wasn't unique to my show on Yahoo Sports Radio. It wasn't unique to my show anywhere that I've done it, but I've taken it with me and done it everywhere, really. I mean, now it's part of BVB until Dave comes back. But Better to Book, it's a different story. That's a different story. And I'm pissed off for a different reason on this because, again, flattery, copying, mimicking, stealing, whatever word you want to use, it's all flattering because it shows what we're doing and it shows who we are. In case you don't know and you're brand spanking new to the show, this is our segment. This is our segment. Okay? Better to Book It is our segment. Why am I mad? I'm mad because Dave is sick. The book in Book It is sick. And the network who did it is here in Vegas. And the people who did it this weekend know Dave. They know me. They've known me for years. They could have picked up the phone, text message, DM, text, call, anything. And they chose not to. I don't care if it was a producer who did it. I don't care if it was somebody else who did it. But Better to Book It is the origin segment of this show. It is the origin segment of this show. Where did BVB come from? It came from Bet It or Book It. It came from the Palms in 2018. There is no Bostonian versus the book without Bet It or Book It. We literally started it. Dave and I began that segment 7 years ago. And for someone, and I'm giving these people way too much credit and way too much attention for this, but for someone to do that this weekend, I'm sorry. I'm just not okay with it. And again, people copy and borrow and rip off and ask comedians about people that rip off their bits and rip off their jokes all the time. That it happens because people's minds aren't that creative and they want an easy way. They want an easy solution. So they go and find a segment that they think is easy. Oh, well, Matt and Dave aren't doing it anymore because the book is not here. So Better to Book It is not part of this show. Hasn't been part of this show since Dave left at the end of June. So let's pick it up because, well, they're not using it anymore. It's like walking behind somebody and drop a $100 bill. And it's like, oh, there's that $100 bill. That's not really anybody's. I'm just going to pick that up. It's mine now, knowing full well who dropped it, knowing full well what's going on with this show. Like, this show is going through turmoil. Like, we as the Brigade, all of us, if you're not thinking about Dave every day, I'm surprised, because I'm thinking about Dave every day. I think about him every time I open the computer to go and talk, because where's my friend? Where's the person who's supposed to be here? So when that happened this weekend, again, if they want to steal like news of the industry, or they wanted to steal, something else, right? Some other segment, opening line, steal something else. Okay. You want to steal, not that segment. That segment should have been left alone. That segment should have been left alone, given what's happening to somebody who is a big, big figure in this industry. Big figure in this industry. A guy who carries a lot of weight. A guy who has done content with the people who stole that. And they've known it. So my anger today is different than what it normally would be, because of who did it, where it was done, and the knowledge it was done with. So that's wrong. So I start the show off with a little bit of a rant and a little bit of an anger side because of it. And maybe it's because I'm defending my friend. Maybe it's because I see Book It, and the book is part of this show that you see above me all the time. Not okay. Not okay. In my world, wrong. Okay? They don't care. That's fine. They don't care. Keep going. But I know who you are now, and I know where you are now. I see you all the time. I see you all the time. So, like, okay. That's what we're doing. Sure. Anyways, the other news. It is a little unfortunate, but it happens in the world. So Sports Grid is no longer airing on Sirius XM. Sports Grid was on channel 159. So BVB, because we are part of the Sports Grid network, we are aired on the radio side online. We're not aired on the radio side terrestrially, but we are streamed. When you go to Sports Grid and you stream them over the internet, you get BVB at 10 p.m. Pacific time every night. You still get the video 10 p.m. Pacific time every night. So we are extremely happy with everything that's happened with Sports Grid. I work for Sports Grid over the weekend. I work for them all the time. We have had a relationship with them for a long time. So their decision to come off of Sirius XM means that we are off Sirius XM for the time being. So there could be an opportunity down the road for us to jump on to a different channel and to have BVB be carried by, say that 10 times, by XM. And we hope to be back on. So I appreciate everybody who sent me emails and DMs and messages saying like, hey, what happened to the XM show? Well, and the replay just isn't part of Sports Grid. So stay tuned. There could be more opportunity and more things coming down. I've talked to some people already. So let's see if we can get on and do a different channel. But that's why BVB is not on XM anymore. It's because Sports Grid has decided to come off Sirius XM. So that's why that situation has gone down the way that it has gone down. We got a lot of fun things to get to on the show today. We're going to bounce around. We talked Little League about 2 weeks ago. Let's talk it again, but let's talk about it from a different standpoint. Opening line is a standing ovation for Summerlin South. I live in Summerlin South. The Nevada kids, two of which kids from that team go to school with my daughter, went to the Little League World Series International Final. They won the USA Championship by beating, of all teams, they beat a team from Connecticut. From Fairfield, Connecticut. They beat a team from Fairfield, Connecticut. I mean, such an interesting situation, such a weird deal to watch the team the town I'm living in, a team that played played Little League here in Summerlin South, going to Williamsport and then going on and winning the Little League World Series for the U.S. and then going to face the Chinese Taipei team yesterday. It didn't go very well for them. Chinese Taipei dominated. They win their first championship since 1996, and it snaps a 6-year win streak for the American side at the Little League World Series. It's the first international championship since 2017, and Team USA was, pretty much dominated by Chinese Taipei. But sports can do an amazing thing. Sports can do such an incredible job of unifying communities all over this town. You see signs, billboards, marquees, all talking about these kids from Summerlin and what they had gone and done together as a unit. Socially, online, UNLV baseball congratulating Summerlin South. The A's, who will soon be in Las Vegas, congratulating Summerlin South. The Raiders congratulating Summerlin South as what they did by winning not just the Nevada State Championship, but the U.S. National Championship. And there's going to be a parade here in Vegas for these kids coming up on Wednesday to celebrate them. And I remember as being a 12-year-old, I've told this story before, but before they decided to change this, Andover had two all-star teams. I was on the American League all-star team. The National League all-star team went to Williamsport. They lost. They didn't go to the U.S. Championship. They lost before they got there. But when they came home to a hero's welcome, they came home to this incredible experience. And I remember watching kids my age, kids in my grade, kids from my homeroom I went to school with on the backs of convertibles going down the center of town in Andover to celebrate. And these kids on Wednesday will have the same type of thing where these just random people are going to come together to celebrate these kids, whether they have kids in the schools or not. The town is going to be at full throat for these kids, cheering them and celebrating what they did and the accomplishment that they did. Just unbelievable. Incredible. The United States had been on a pretty good run before yesterday. Like I mentioned, they had won the last 6 titles. Florida won it last year. But this did not come without a lot of controversy. And that's kind of the nature of the beast when it comes to sports these days, right? Is that while we're talking about something positive, there's always like that other side. There's always like that, hold on a second. What's going on? Because the kid who pitched for Chinese Taipei is getting and has gotten a ton of questions. One about his fastball. He throws and he hit on the gun. He hit 82 miles per hour while he was in Williamsport. I forget how hard he threw yesterday. But when you throw 82 miles per hour from 46 feet, which is what the mound is, like 45 feet and 9 inches, something like that, from a Little League mound. When you throw 82 miles per hour, that is the equivalent of a 107 mile per hour fastball from a Major League Baseball level height distance mound. Think about what these kids who were 10, 11, and 12, what they are facing from a fastball perspective. 82 mile per hour fastball from the pitcher from Chinese Taipei. And that has opened up a ton of debate as to whether or not the kid actually is 12. Chinese Taipei has been busted before for this. This is not like a one-time thing where it's Taiwan, okay? Chinese Taipei is Taiwan. And Taiwan was busted previously for having players that were not eligible. They were older than what they're supposed to be. And so those people who have watched Little League Baseball for a long period of time have said, hold on a second. Hold on a second. 82 miles per hour? The kid has a full face of acne. The kid looks like Danny DeMonte. Remember that kid from New York? Remember Danny DeMonte? Maybe the kid who was older than he said he was and pitched for New York? We have seen this before where kids have been older than what they were allowed to be, and they've pitched at the Little League World Series. Yeah, Danny Almonte. Yep. And that's been happening. We've done it. Okay. We did it. It's not like it's only Taiwan or only Chinese Taipei who did it, but people who have been around Little League for a long period of time have asked a variety of questions. One, the safety question. Is it safe for these kids to face a 107 mile per hour fastball? The equivalent. It's 82 at 46 feet. So 1, safety. 2, the kid's elbow, the kid's arm. Like that type of torque for a body, for a guy, for a kid, 12-year-old, not great, right? You don't want to stop him from pitching, but yikes. You start having arm problems pretty fast with that level of torque that you're throwing 82 miles per hour. then the third question is he actually 12? And it stinks that that question was running around on the internet before that game was even played yesterday as to like, well, what happens if Team USA gets awarded the championship because they find out down the line that Chinese Taipei doctored birth certificates to let this kid pitch, to let him be part of their team. And there's others as well. It wasn't just this one kid that they're talking about. It was multiple. So that stinks. Okay. I'm not going to lie. That's a bummer because I much rather would be talking about, these kids from Summerlin and what these kids accomplished, because that in the town that I live in where I am sitting, that these kids go to school, 2 of them at least, a mile up the road where my daughter goes to school. You can't talk about this enough in my mind as to what it's going to mean to these kids down the line. They played baseball on ESPN. They had their names, their bios, their faces plastered for 2 weeks across ESPN. And they were representing the Mountain District. They're representing Nevada. They're representing Summerlin South. And they came from right here where I am sitting all the way to Williamsport, and they won the U.S. championship. So congrats to those kids. What an incredible, incredible experience that they had. Yes, they lost the international championship, but that's how this works, right? Someone's got to lose. Someone's got to win. Chinese Taipei won. Team USA did not, but hell of a run for those kids last night, yesterday. Congrats to them. And they come back to a hero's welcome for a parade here on Wednesday. Let's talk about the weekend. All right. What happened last night, this weekend? There was a lot to get into. Let's talk about Iowa State and Kansas State and the game over in Ireland. What a performance for Iowa State. I was really impressed with Iowa State. I was deeply unimpressed with Kansas State. Deeply unimpressed with the coaching, with the play calling. Yes, Edwards, their running back, got hurt early, and that really disrupted what the coaches were trying to do. It was almost like once he went out, everything was done for Kansas State. They didn't know how to call a play. Like, they kept on throwing the football. I know that the defense that Iowa State was playing was essentially geared to take away the run, and they were going to make Avery Johnson, the quarterback for Kansas State, they were going to make him pass, and he couldn't do it. The Avery Johnson Heisman Trophy candidacy was pretty weak to begin with going into the year. It is absolutely gone. Kansas State, I think, is going to have a tough time. If you remember, we watched Florida State play Georgia Tech last year in this game in Ireland. And we all were pretty high, media folks, on Florida State. And they were favored. They were expected to go beat up on Georgia Tech. And Georgia Tech blew them out. And that was a pretty big sign for where Florida State was going in 2024. Well, I think we could also have a very similar deal with Kansas State in 2025 because they were expected to compete for the Big 12. Iowa State was as well. But in terms of continuity, in terms of game plan and execution, I don't think Iowa State's very good. I think Rocco Beck's going to struggle this year. I don't think he has great weapons. I think he's going to have a tough time moving the football against quality defenses. But the defense for Iowa State is legit, and they could fly to the ball. And the secondary, I thought, played really, really well and were very sticky against the speedsters, the outside threats for Kansas State. And I thought Matt Campbell completely dominated that game from a coaching standpoint. And I was very impressed with the preparation, game plan, and in-game adjustments made by Iowa State. It was a sloppy game, okay? We saw 4 turnovers in the first half. We saw, a punt being muffed on the first punt attempt. The first time K-State touched the football this year, they muffed the punt, and they looked completely lost after that. But their defense really, really saved them. I think K-State's got some very big questions going forward after that. But the hits kept on coming for Kansas State. It wasn't just K-State losing the football game, 23-20, which, by the way, real quick, before we talk about the off-the-field stuff, if you were an over better in that game, I'm so sorry. Like, that was a brutal beat. If you missed it, Iowa State had the football on the 1 yard line. They were driving. They were up 23-20. They were driving. A run down to the goal line was reviewed. It looked like the runner got in. He was ruled down at the 1. Iowa State then took 3 knees to end the football game, and they did not score. The total stayed under. And that was a brutal, if that's a touchdown, that run gets ruled a touchdown, it goes over. I think it closed at 48.5, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, Chet, on that. Well, what did the total close for that game? But that was ish. Losing the over by falling on the 1 was brutal. Like, that's just absolutely brutal. I felt I wasn't on the over or the under. I just bet Kansas State. I laid the 3 with K-State, but I understood the plus 3.5. I did. I got why people took 3.5 or laid 3. The pros were hoping to go 2.5. It never got there. It never dropped down below 2.5. There wasn't enough Iowa State money to come in and drop the thing below 3, but it opened at 3.5. It was bet to 3. It stayed at 3 and didn't move, but the total had some movement to it. So that was crazy. How about, ish. I was on Sports Grid with Joe Ranieri. With Gabe Morency on Saturday. And Gabe and I were talking because Gabe was on the over in the game. And I kept on telling him that there could have been so many more points scored in that game. I mean, both 45 was the total. Thank you, Tyrone. Thank you. Both teams had red zone turnovers that they didn't capitalize on. A muffed punt by Kansas State turned into a fumble by Iowa State. And then a fumble by Iowa State recovered by Kansas State was then turned into a 4th down conversion on 4th and 1, which they didn't convert. Like, there were numerous chances. A missed 45-yard field goal or 49-yard field goal, I think it was, by Iowa State. Like, there were points left, at least 17 points left on the field. You probably can count more than that left on the field between these two teams during that game. So if you were on the over, yeah, Jimmy Football, I agree. That's what it was. It was an absolute slop fest over in Ireland. And then it went from a slop fest on the field to a absolute embarrassment for the Johnson family afterwards. After the loss, Avery Johnson's dad and brother got into a fight. That's them on the ground. The rain, wet, soaked cement outside the stadium in Dublin, where both dad and brother issued a joint statement, Mark and Anthony Johnson, saying, quote, "We sincerely apologize for our actions following yesterday's football game in Ireland. Senseless bickering escalated into an unnecessary fight. We had resolved our differences and take full responsibility for our actions. We have apologized to our immediate and extended family and now extend our apologies to Kansas State University, its alumni and fans. We regret this incident, have learned from it, and are committed to ensuring it doesn't happen again. Please accept our deepest apologies." How about you don't go to a football game where your kid's playing and get drunk? How about that? How about we don't do that? How about we stay away from the Guinness and the Jameson and anything else you were drinking over there, okay? Like, come on, man. Your kid is the starting quarterback for Kansas State. People know who you are. People are going to pay attention to what's happening, and you fight your son? Like, what? It's bad enough to get into a fight, but get into a family fight? Oh, boy. CBW. Thanksgiving's going to be fun. It's true. I don't know, man. That was, to see that, I saw that pop, and I was like, come on, that's not really them, right? Oh, no. Yep, that's really them. And they really apologized. They had to come on out publicly and say, yeah, that was us. The other weird story from the football weekend, UNLV. So I'm wearing the UNLV gear. Favorite thing about today, we'll tell you in a bit. But wow, what was that? Did you guys watch the line movement of that game? So we talked about it at Circa on Thursday and Friday. And I asked the question because on Thursday, the number was 24. Idaho State coming in, first game for Dan Mullins. First time, first game, all new starters everywhere. Only 2 returning starters for UNLV. Number was 24. And I thought, yeah, I mean, I was thinking about laying it, going like, okay, I could see UNLV putting one on it on Idaho State, but I also thought maybe the under is the play because that's a big number. It was 64.5. So that's a big number. Come Friday, in about 24 hours, the number went from 24 to 31.5. And the total went from 64.5 to 66.5. And I was asking on the air, and I asked it of Jeffrey Benson of Circa, and I asked it to other people, what is going on with that number? It didn't make any sense. Why is UNLV a 30-point favorite? Now, the number came down from 31.5 down to 30 or 30.5. That was the closing number. But they won the game 38-31. They were losing 17-14 at halftime to Idaho State. I don't understand. I don't understand what exactly happened here in Dan Mullen's debut. Now, Jaden Thomas went off. He ran for $140 and he ran for 3 touchdowns. Without him, they were DOA. They were done. They would have lost that game. And and Gabe Morency was pretty quick to point out, and he was right to do so, that UNLV once lost as a 45-point favorite to Howard. So they've done this before. The university has blown their opening game. And even the last couple of years, UNLV has not looked great in week number 1. But that line move and the way that game was bet, I kept on asking people, is there an injury? Is there something I'm not seeing? Is there a report of something that's going on? I don't understand, because I kept on asking the question of people that I knew and trust and like, saying, hey, why is this number running? And nobody had an answer. Like, nobody came up with a legitimate, like, here is why this number is going, because of this, of that, of this, of that. The Cook kid for Idaho State, their quarterback, he went 30 for 50 for 380 yards and 1 touchdown, but he threw 3 picks. The team threw 4, and that was the difference in the entire game, because without that, UNLV may have lost the game. Alex Orji played well enough, I guess, if you're a Rebel fan, to kind of go, all right, maybe this running game is going to be legit, and maybe this is what we're going to have to, go ahead and really hang our hat. 195 yards passing for the Calandra kid who came in. Alex Orji was 3 for 3 for 37 yards. He ran the ball 6 times for 34 yards, but it wasn't for the backup quarterback. UNLV wouldn't have scored. I mean, they were at a quick hook on that. So Jaden Thomas, 10 carries, 147 yards, and 3 carries. But the Dason Brooks kid from Idaho State, 18 carries, 132 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Like, yikes. Yikes. Yes, betting college football will drive you crazy. But Eric, you're right. The defense couldn't stop a running nose. 30-plus points to an FCS team is hilarious. Yep. I don't understand the line move. I never got it. I still haven't gotten like a real good explanation as to why that number closed at 30. How did it get to 31.5? That was just like one-way action. And part of it is what Jeffrey Benson talked about on Friday, is that the line at places like Circa, that was an ad game. So the reason why that game got moved is because the Canelo versus Crawford, the boxing match, which will happen on Saturday in a couple of weeks, which I'm very upset about, by the way, because I was going to cover that fight, and I can't cover that fight now because of, unfortunately, my shoulder surgery. So I can't do that. So I'm not going to be here to be able to cover that fight at Allegiant Stadium. So it's going to be the first time that Canelo Alvarez will fight here in Vegas, and I won't be in attendance in a really long time. And he's fighting my favorite boxer. Like, universe mad at that. Okay. Angry. But UNLV got paid by Zuffa Boxing, UNLV or UFC rather, Dana White, whatever you want to call the publicity, the PR, company that's running this for the boxing fight. It's going to be an amazing event. First time ever having a boxing match or a combat sports event at Allegiant Stadium. They got paid millions, supposedly 1.7 million, allegedly. Dana White declined to comment on that, said that number is not right. But that's why the game got moved to the 23rd. So they literally had UNLV move the game up. Idaho State came and said, yes, it's a buy game for them. So they're like, yeah, fine, we'll come for a paycheck. And it all worked out. So the books were kind of slow on this. And Circa didn't put up till Friday because it was an ad game. It wasn't a normally scheduled in the rotation type game. So that's one reason why maybe the line was off. But the line, was right. Like, yeah. He's asking, is Bud the best Canelo has fought since Mayweather? I mean, Triple G's really good. So, I mean, Triple G's got the power that Bud lacks. Crawford doesn't have the power that Triple G has. So those fights were incredible. So he has fought. For Bud, Crawford's never fought anybody with the power that Canelo has. That's the problem. How does he get hit, or is Crawford going to be able to elude? Is he quicker than Canelo, which is very possible. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah. And Bivol was much bigger too. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. So yeah, I'll say that Bud has the boxing defense. Yes. He can move around. He's quick. We'll find out. I mean, if Canelo goes to the body and Canelo gets him, I love Crawford. Okay. I love Bud. I love Canelo taking the fight. I love that as well. I think boxing needs more of this. You need more strength on strength. Netflix has that fight. Huge, gigantic event happening in September, which I was supposed to be here for. And I'm going to be watching it in New Hampshire with a bum shoulder post-surgery. No bueno. Not a fan of that. Would much rather be there, but unfortunately, no, not going to be there. To yesterday, how about Tommy? Tommy Fleetwood finally gets it done. He finally wins on the PGA Tour. He wins the Tour Championship. Yesterday, he holds off a litany of golfers who were coming after him on Sunday. And Scottie Scheffler did not do what he did a week prior, being down by 4 strokes, coming all the way back to win the tournament. Tommy Fleetwood wins on the PGA Tour. 164 starts for Tommy. And he finally has a PGA Tour win to his credit. He wins $10 million, 139 cuts made out of 163 starts going into that event yesterday, 0 wins, and he winds up winning it. Now, when Rory McIlroy won the Masters in April, career Grand Slam, he fell apart. He partied. He went and just disappeared, really. I mean, he wasn't really a factor in many tournaments afterwards. We kept on waiting for him at the Open or the US Open or the PGA, kept on waiting for Rory to do something big, and he never did. So what does Tommy do now next month? Like, what realistically do we see out of Tommy Fleetwood after he finally wins on the PGA Tour? And not just wins on the PGA Tour, he will finish second in the money because of all of the top 10 finishes and really top 2 finishes he had this year on the PGA Tour. And now he gets a $10 million first place check. And that will vault him to just behind Scottie Scheffler for the amount of money won on the tour this year. I can't wait to watch it because the Euros are going to need Tommy Fleetwood. This is Bethpage Black, okay? This is as difficult a place for the Euros to play as they'll get in America. It's a public golf course, and people know it. People talk. They hoot, holler. It's a football game masquerading as a golf tournament. And this is going to be very interesting to see how Tommy Fleetwood and the rest of the Euros handle the environment. Tommy should be good. He's played around it. He understands it. But if he's not locked in because he's going to party for the next month, that's not good for the Euros. That's not good. That's not a good sign. So watch for that, because Rory went down quickly after winning the Masters. Tommy Fleetwood, I love it for him. I'm so happy for him. That's such an unbelievable story for Tommy Fleetwood. Just absolutely incredible for him to do that, to be able to win that, and to have just the way he won it too, just to dominate on the back nine, not choke. Hell of a win for him. To baseball, how about Cal Raleigh? He hits number 48 and 49 yesterday, and he sets the record for catchers. It's the most home runs by basically a full-time catcher in Major League Baseball history. Hit 2 against the A's yesterday, 48 and 49. He breaks Salvador Perez's record for the most home runs by a catcher in a single season in Major League Baseball. And here's the interesting point about Cal Raleigh. He's on pace to hit 62 home runs. That will tie Aaron Judge for the American League record for home runs. This is getting wild. He's a switch-hitting catcher. A switch-hitting catcher could hit 62 home runs. And the Mariners need him to do this. If the Mariners make the postseason, I don't understand how Cal Raleigh is not the MVP. I mean, the Mariners right now are a half a game behind the Yankees. They're 1 game behind the Red Sox for the number 1 wild card in the American League. They are 2 games behind the Astros as well for the American League West. If they catch the Astros, which is really possible, Houston is 72 and 59, and they keep on getting hurt. I mean, injuries all over the place. And the Mariners are 70 and 61, and they're pitching so well right now. The MVP race at most books, it's down to minus 155, 150 for Aaron Judge. Cal Raleigh is still plus money. But again, we've talked about this all summer. The number was ridiculous for Aaron Judge. It was minus 20,000. Minus 20,000 in May for Aaron Judge to win the American League MVP. It was done, dusted, and put away. You could have gotten Cal Raleigh for some outrageous prices. And there are some bettors out there that have an insane ticket on Cal Raleigh. And you got to tell me, how is Cal Raleigh not the MVP? Like, how in the world is he not the MVP of the American League? Aaron Judge and the Yankees just lost 3 of 4 games against the Red Sox. They had to salvage a game yesterday. More on that here in just 1 second. But they had to salvage a game, a 7-2 Sunday Night Baseball victory over, against Dustin May, who did not look good at all for the Red Sox. But they didn't play their full complement of players. Boston rested a bunch of guys. They were like, hey, we came to New York. We took 3 of 4. We're good. You can have the Sunday game. We don't need it. If the Yankees had lost yesterday, that would have been the first time for the Red Sox to win 4 games at Yankee Stadium over a 4-game series, to have a 4-game sweep. Would have been the first time Boston would have done that since 1939. Now, there's not that many 4-game series anymore, so that's kind of why. But still, Boston normally doesn't go to New York and win all 4 games. They didn't. They lost. But they were threatening to do so. And I thought if Boston had won last night on national TV, I don't know if Aaron Boone would have been the manager today. Now, I want Aaron Boone to stay. Hear me correctly. I want Aaron Boone to be right where he is, because he is a little lost. Now, Mark Zinno from Sports Grid and ESPN Radio is going to join us tomorrow. I was hoping that the Yankees would fire Boone today, and we booked him for tomorrow. So I was like, maybe they fire him during the show, and then we have Mark Zinno on tomorrow. He's a big diehard Yankee fan. So we'll do some talk about the Yankees a little bit. He's a big Falcons fan. He's in Atlanta. So we'll do some Falcon stuff with him tomorrow as well. So Mark Zinno will join us tomorrow on the show. But I wanted the Yankees to fire Boone today. Yankees lose, set history by the sweep of the Red Sox, and then they fire Aaron Boone. So the Red Sox are doing, I think, the good thing by keeping Aaron Boone right where he is, because no one's afraid of the Yankees. The Yankees are in a wild card spot at the moment. They're in the playoffs at the moment. But do they stay there is going to be the big question. It's hard to fire a guy who at the time of firing would be in the postseason if the season ended today. But it doesn't end today. And the schedule isn't impossible for the Yankees, but they start a 3-game set against Washington today. Then they're at the White Sox for 4. But then things change. They play 3 games against the Houston Astros. They're at home for Toronto. They're at home for Detroit. They're at Boston. They're at Minnesota. They're at Baltimore. And then they end the year with the White Sox and the Orioles. So they have a 4-game set against they played the Orioles 7 times of their final 10 games. That's pretty good. If you're a Yankee fan, you're pretty happy about that schedule. And in all honesty, who is going to catch the Yankees? We kind of know it's Red Sox, it's the Mariners, and it's the Yankees. It's kind of what order is it going to be versus will one team get bounced? Because the Royals are 3 games back at 67 and 64. They've won 7 of 10. There's no debating that the Royals have played really well over the last 2 weeks to put themselves into this position. But if they falter, the Rangers, at 66 and 66. What are they going to look like? I don't think that they're going to be much of a threat. The Guardians are 64 and 65. And then it goes Tampa, the Angels, the Orioles, just no. So pretty much Red Sox, Yankees, Mariners is kind of what we expect. It's kind of what we expect out of the 3 wild cards for the American League. Now, if there were 2 wild cards, different story. It would be far more entertaining if there were 2 wild cards and we'd have the Yankees, Red Sox, and Mariners all fighting for 2 spots. Having 3 spots makes it a little easier, if you will, for the Yankees to get in. All right, the preseason is over, thankfully. The Ravens, I am still kicking myself over this. I went into the weekend going, bet the Ravens, bet the Ravens, bet the Ravens, and I was going to hammer the Ravens. Why? Well, one, we know that Baltimore cares about winning preseason games under Harbaugh, and we also know they love beating the Commanders because of the rivalry in the region. But Dan Quinn is now 2-18, I think it is, over his last 20 games in the preseason, straight up. 2-18. So it's the worst preseason coach in the NFL against the best preseason coach in the NFL, and I didn't bet it. I forgot to bet it. By the time I went to bet it, it was already 7-0 Ravens. It was minus 380 on the money line in like a 14-point line, and I was not comfortable laying that, even though they would have covered that for that. So I was very mad at myself for missing that. That was my bad on that, to miss that. But the Browns and the Broncos and the Giants, keep this stat. This is the last time you're going to see the Browns and the Giants be 3-0 in 2025. That is not happening for either one of those teams. Broncos maybe, but the Browns and the Giants, they're not going to be 3-0 at any point this season. They're not winning their first 3 games, either team. Not happening. Sorry. This is where we would put better to book it. We have changed that until Dave comes back. And when Dave is back, we'll do better to book it. For now, though, we call it just the picks. Oh, we need Matt's take on Brady's Raiders versus Vrabel's Patriots. Oh, yeah, of course we're going to get all of that. Don't worry about that. We'll get all of that next week. Okay, don't worry. I'm on Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. Monday, we're off for Labor Day. Tuesday, Wednesday, we're back. Thursday's my surgery. So Wednesday's show, you're going to get a ton of week 1 NFL picks from me. I will give you the full breakdown of all the games I'm betting, all the plays I like. We'll go into all of that coming up on Wednesday's show. But we're off next Thursday. We're off. But we're here this Thursday. We're here. We're off this Friday. So next 2 Fridays we're off. So, and then hopefully that will be the last time. That will be the last Friday we'll miss really almost until Christmas. So until Thanksgiving. Yeah, that'll be the last Friday. We'll be off until Black Friday. So we'll be there for most of September, all of October, almost all of November, and then just off on Black Friday. So that's how the schedule is going to roll. So I'll give you all of it on that. So, Chris, this is a Daily Juice joke. Matt is a diehard Cowboys fan. Hold on. More on that here in just 1 second. Stick with me. Jumping ahead here just a little bit on me. I like the Yankees and the Nationals to go under today. I've seen everyone go over 8.5. I got under 9 for this game coming up today for the Yankees. I don't think the Yankees are going to score very much. And everyone's saying that the exit velo and the real in-depth Brad Lord data tells you that Brad Lord is due to get lit up. Maybe he is. I'm going to bet the data that we actually have. And the data that's right in front of us, the easy data, is that he has a 2.5 ERA on the road and an opposing batting average of 220. And his games have gone 5-4, 3-2, 4-2 the last 3 games started by Brad Lord. On the road, it's been 4-2 and 2-1 the last 2 starts on the road for Brad Lord. On the flip side, for the Yankees, this kid whose name I cannot pronounce, the Cam Schleitler kid, Schleitler, I don't know how to say the kid's name, but he has been pretty good coming in here. 6 2/3, no earned runs last start. 5 innings, 1 earned run. 5 innings, 2 earned runs. 5 innings, 2 earned runs. His ERA in the month of August is 2.08. I don't expect many runs out of the Nationals today. I'm going under 9 for these 2 teams. The current number is, let me see what the current number is on this. Is it up to 9.5? Wow. People are betting me. You can get a better number than me. Okay. So the money came in on the over. I like the under. Let's see if the up-to-date number on this. That number now is, well, it's 9 or 9.5. It's pretty much, I saw it dip down to 8.5, but you can get 9s, but you also can go under 9.5. DraftKings is at 9.5. So if you want to go under there, 9.5, you can do that. I like under. You can fade or follow it, but I like under. Mariners on the money line today. I like Seattle to get a win here today. I think this Mariners team is cooking, and the Padres, I get it. They've looked better recently, but they're still 31-35 on the road up against a Mariners team that's 39-26 at home. JP Sears is okay pitcher. First start on the road was not good for him with the Padres, but the Mariners smack lefties. They hit home runs off lefties, and they drive in runs against lefties. I like the Mariners on the money line here today to get a W against the Padres. And the Brewers game, they've got Woodruff going. And Woodruff had his streak snapped, in which the team had won every start that Woodruff had made. The Brewers had won up until his last start, in which he lost to the Cubs. He went 4 1/3, gave up 3 earned runs, and the team lost the game 4-1. But Woodruff has an ERA basically 2.5, both home and road. He's 4-1 with a 2.47 ERA. He's been absolutely tremendous for the Milwaukee Brewers. And I just think Milwaukee has a chance here against Erod. Speaking of smacking against lefties, the Brewers crack lefties. And I think Rodriguez is in for it. Erod today going with a 5.7% record and a 5.4 ERA. For the Diamondbacks. On the road, he's got a 5.14 ERA, opposing batting average of 309. I expect runs. I don't mind first 5 run line or first 5 money line for the Brewers either. I'll just go with the full game and go run line for the Brewers here. You should be able to get some plus money on that. That number now is plus 115. I got 130 last night, so there's been some movement on that. I got plus 130. It's now plus 115 for the Brewers on the run line. And then finally, no way Matt's a Cowboy fan. This has been the running joke over the last couple of days. So on 2 days ago, on Sunday, for the other show, the Daily Juice, I picked the Cowboys to win the NFC East. I told you guys about this on Friday's show here on BVB. I said I was picking the Cowboys to win the NFC East at plus 650. I think the value is there for the Cowboys to win the division. I think the Eagles' injury luck is not going to go very well. They just went and traded for Sam Howell to back up Jalen Hurts. Okay. They've made a couple of moves with offensive linemen today. Kind of tell you where they are with their offensive line. And I think there's some questions about the defense. I know what people have talked about, but I think their injury luck where it runs out. And I think that it's really hard to repeat. The Eagles have a first place schedule. The Cowboys have a third place schedule. And I think they're going to score a ton of points this year. Their defense is a question. And the Micah Parsons deal is 100% an issue. Not saying it's not, but I like the Cowboys to win the NFC East at plus 650. It's got everybody all up in arms. They all think that I'm somehow like a Cowboy fan, that this is like a fandom pick. This is not. This is a money pick, a value pick. It's been 20 years since anybody's gone, over 20 years since anyone's gone back-to-back in the NFC East. There's a reason for that, because always going into the year, everyone always thinks, oh, that team that won it last year is going to win it again. And they never do. They never do. And I'm sorry about Washington. You might go, well, where's Washington, Matt? I'm not buying the Commanders at all this year. Not even a little. Okay. That defense is so bad for the Commanders. They just re-signed Terry McLaurin. We'll do that during our NFL story of the day, but no, I'm not in on the Commanders at all. I think it's a 2-horse race. I think the Giants are going to suck. You guys know that. I'm on the under for the Giants, under 5.5 wins for the Giants, but I like the Cowboys to win the division. I know people think I'm nuts, but I like the Cowboys to win the NFC East at plus 650. I think there's good value on that bet for them, given the fact that nobody repeats in the NFC. We have not seen it since 2004 with the Eagles going back-to-back in 03 and for prop bet time. All right, let's go to the Phillies and the Mets today. Good game in the National League East. It's a 7:10 start time in New York. Senga going for the Mets, Sanchez going for the Phillies. Last 2 games for Sanchez, he's given up 2 and 3 earned runs. His earned run prop is 1.5. Now it's gotten a little bit expensive. It was 145, 150 last night. It's up to like 160, 165 right now, but I still you only pay the juice when you lose. Okay. And I think him giving up 2 earned runs today is pretty likely against the Mets. They have guys who can hit home runs. 1-2 run shot in 5 innings is all we need for the Mets to come over on this, for Christopher Sanchez to go over. And he's gone over this 3 of his last 5 games. He's gone over. And against Seattle and Cincinnati, 2 and 3 earned runs, home run hitting teams like the Mets here. I mean, I need 1 polar bear 2-run shot to get this to come in, or somebody else. Lindor goes deep, or somebody else goes deep here for the Mets. Sanchez over 1.5 earned runs against the Mets today for the BVB prop bet of the day. Now, our friends at Circa, more of a thank you. We'll keep going to the end of the month with these guys. We had the shows yesterday, so technically we don't have to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway because Circa's been so been an awesome partner. And if you missed any part of the shows on Thursday and Friday, definitely go back to our YouTube channel and watch all the interviews with Benson, with Palm, with Derek Stevens, talking about everything to do with Circa. They're going to have a really big football weekend. And obviously we're marching towards what will happen from a sign-up perspective. This is the busy time for sign-ups. More in the Brigade proxy service here in just 1 second. But if you are a Commanders fan, you're happy. I don't know how happy you are, but you are happy. Terry McLaurin has been signed, a 3-year contract extension. He will end his hold in. He will be in uniform against the Giants when they play the season opener for the Washington Commanders. So big news there for the Commanders to get this done. And in the league, that really leaves Micah Parsons and the Cowboys as the last major storyline for when a deal might get done. And will the Cowboys come to an agreement with a guy who was taking a nap during the 3rd preseason game over the weekend on the trainer's table that got Coach Schottenheimer pretty upset about it? And I don't blame him. I mean, I don't think that's the right look in my mind. If you're looking at it from a Cowboy fan perspective or just a coaching perspective, that's not the way to do it. And I think Micah Parsons deserves his money. I think the Cowboys are going to give him his money. But I don't think that's a good look to go and have, during your team's game, you're deciding you're going to go and lay down and fake like you're asleep and fake like you're taking a nap. That's a bad deal, man. Like that's not what you want. That's not what you're looking for. That's a dangerous situation. I think if you're playing with Jerry Jones's money, I think that's tough. So I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't recommend that. But that's the last really big storyline that we got going on here from a NFL perspective. When will Micah Parsons sign? I don't think he's going anywhere. He's under contract. He's got a year left. He has to play. So how much money is he going to lose, right? At some point, I think someone blinks and we get a deal done between Micah Parsons and the Cowboys. I'd be very surprised if he's not in uniform against the Eagles coming up in a little over a week when we start the regular season, if you can believe that. Let's talk some college football and a new starting quarterback who is going to have, I think, a lot of attention on them for game 1. Okay. If you guys are a Brigade proxy service customer, you received an email over the weekend from us alerting you as to what is going on. On Friday, we had Proxy Tom from VegasFootballContest.com, and he came on to explain that he is going to step up and he is going to essentially be the Brigade proxy service for free this year. I have to have surgery. Dave is in no condition to be doing picks at the moment. We hope that next season, both of us are in a better position to be able to do this. So instead of the company going under and the proxy service ending, Tom has stepped up to literally save us. And the money is going to go. He's not taking a single dime. So if you have signed up already, know your money's going to Dave and his family. Same thing if you sign up through the Brigade Proxy Service with Tom. You go to Tom and say, hey, I'm here from the Brigade Proxy Service. I want to sign up. He's going to take that money. He's going to give it to Jessica and Dave. Okay. So just a gigantic, unbelievable gesture to help the family, to help what Dave is fighting through and battling with, to have that and to take the stress off of Dave and I, knowing that the Brigade Proxy Service is something that we absolutely love doing. We love it. And so to have that, huge, just unbelievable. So you should have received the email. If you didn't receive the email or need more information, please text me at 702-570-8255. Send me a text. I'll connect you with Tom. I'll get you set up and I'll explain everything. So 702-570-8255, or always the website is thebvbshow.com. You guys can go to for that. How about Bryce Underwood? Was there any shock and was there any debate that Bryce Underwood was not going to be starting at quarterback for Michigan? Come on, that was going to happen. But obviously, this is a big step up from high school football to college football. This is a huge, huge opportunity for the number one overall recruit and a guy who flipped from LSU last November to do this, to be the starting quarterback of the Michigan Wolverines for game number 1. Now, this has happened before when true freshmen have started, but it's going to be tough to do. I like him. I like him a lot. And Coach Moore said this is an earned opportunity, not a given opportunity. He went there and outperformed the other quarterbacks, and he will be the starting quarterback when they take on New Mexico on Saturday, and then they travel to Oklahoma to face the top 20 ranked Sooners, in which will be the first really big, big test for this youngster. He's 6'4", 230 pounds. He's compared to Cam Newton. He's an absolute beast. And let's see what the kid looks like, because he might be really hard to tackle, and he might be a really difficult. And yes, CBW, 12 million reasons to start. That's the alleged amount of money he got from an NIL deal with Michigan that flipped him from LSU to the Wolverines. All reports from people I talk to in the college football world and people that I respect their opinion, have told me this kid's going to be absolutely dynamic, and he's going to be a pain in the neck in the Big Ten for at least 2 years, 3 years, until he goes and is eligible to be drafted to the NFL. Can he throw? We know he can run. Can he throw? That's the big question going on right now for this kid, is can he pass well enough to be taking this team? And some are saying he has to have one of the greatest freshman campaigns ever. And maybe that's true for Michigan to be like a national championship contender. Maybe that's true. But I like it. Not happy about the Cam Newton comparisons. Why, Tyrone? Why not? Why don't you like that? I mean, Cam won a national championship. What are you worried about? I mean, if I'm a Wolverine fan, I like those comparisons. At Auburn, Cam Newton was the best player in college football. If this kid's the best player in college football, Michigan's going to go and beat Ohio State again this coming year. So, I mean, I think there's going to be a lot of fun. Oh, that's interesting. Addison wants a Fight Song Friday showdown for IU and ODU. Indiana plays ODU this weekend. Is that true? All right. It's going to be Fight Song Thursday, not Fight Song Friday, but we'll do Fight Song Thursday. Yeah. All right. We can do that. Sure. Is he the next Ryan Leaf? I hope not. Yeah. JPC, you're going to throw 10 passes a game. That's true. But against the quality teams, you're not going to be able to do that. You can't just run the ball. You're going to have to, I mean, against Oklahoma, they're going to stop the run. Okay. Like Oklahoma's going to be a good defensive team this year. You're going to have to throw. You know, against teams like Central Michigan, okay, fine. You can just run the ball down their throat. I'll give you. You know, against teams like, I don't know, Purdue. Yeah, run the ball. Other teams, you're going to have to throw. You're going to have to pass a little bit. You can't just run the ball 40 times a game in college football. The service academies can kind of do that, but that's because they run the triple option. So I don't see Michigan running the triple option anytime soon. So you're going to have to throw the ball. But again, it'll be a work in progress. Let that defense eat. Under Oklahoma, Michigan. I haven't bet that yet, but under for that on that. Yes. Oh, not sure if Matt's seen it yet. Sonic, you must have been out. Sonic, you must not have been here. Sonic missed it. You must have missed the show on Friday. We played it. We played it 2 times on Friday. It's right there. We got the Fight Song Friday stinger. We've played it. It's tremendous. It'll be Thursday, so it'll confuse the heck out of you guys this week with Fight Song Friday. So, yeah, it made it a live show. Absolutely. If you guys are watching live, don't move. If you're watching on Sports Grid Television, thank you for being here. We're back tomorrow, same place, same time, 10 o'clock Pacific time. For the replay on Sports Grid, for you guys who are watching live, we head on over into bonus time for the news of the industry and more. Thank you for being here, though. Bonus time starts now. That stinger's got sizzle. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, it's awesome. It's one of the better stingers he's made. Get you all pumped up for a Fight Song Friday. So that'll be with us all year. I got to figure out, like, the thing that's going to be really kind of messed up is I got to figure out how to fire everything with my left hand, because I'm going to be like this. I'm not going to be able to move my arm in 9 days. Like, I keep on like counting down the things that I'm not going to be able to do. Like, I went food shopping yesterday with Madeline, and I took a bunch of groceries up, and I was like, I'm not going to be able to do this for like 3 months. I'm not going to be able to put any weight, any like pulling on my arm. So I got to figure out how to do everything with my left hand to fire so right now, this is how I fire everything with a mouse. Soon I got to fire it with my left hand, which is going to be kind of a pain in the ass. News of the industry involving DraftKings and a new announcement for today. All right, so DraftKings has made this announcement that they are starting today. They are banning your ability to fund your account with a credit card. Back in July, the Massachusetts Gaming Gaming Commission fined DraftKings $450,000 for allowing bettors to use funds deposited by credit cards in other states. So it was a shared wallet. Okay. Mass has been very much like, you cannot fund your accounts with credit cards. So if I went to New Hampshire and funded my account with a credit card in New Hampshire and then gambled in Massachusetts, the Mass Gaming Commission said, no way. So starting today, DraftKings is no longer allowing anybody to deposit in any states via credit card. DraftKings will join Fanatics and Sport Trade as wagering companies that do not allow credit card deposits. At least 9 legal U.S. sports betting jurisdictions prohibit funding accounts via credit card, including 5 of 6 of the New England states. So I guess I couldn't in New Hampshire, so I had to be somewhere else. So I apologize. Some banks, including Bank of America, also don't allow this. When the Mass Gaming Commission fined DraftKings last month, it was the biggest fine to an operator since PASPA was overturned in May of 2018. The investigation revealed a culture of confusion in protocol issues within DraftKings. DraftKings executives said that while they understood that funding via credit card was illegal in Massachusetts, they did not understand that using funds from a credit card put into a mobile wallet in another state was also banned. DraftKings appears to have the technology to sort out where the funds came from within its own universal wallet, and human error or misinterpretation seems to be what ultimately led to the multiple violations in Massachusetts, as was reported by ingame.com. So it's one of those like whoopsies type of deal. So if you went to a draft, like say you're in Michigan and you go to Michigan or Illinois and you deposit in Michigan or Illinois for DraftKings, you deposit in those states, and then you fly to New England into Massachusetts and you bet with, say I put $100 in Michigan and I go to Massachusetts and I play with that $100. You're not supposed to be allowed to do that in Massachusetts. That's another one of the wonky things about Mass, about the way that they've done it. Look, you shouldn't be able to fund a sports betting account with a credit card. I'm sorry. Betting on credit, I get it. It's something that everybody would love to do. Why? Because the bookies do that. The guys on the corner do that. The black market does that. They offer you credit. And it's great to bet with credit. but you have the potential of getting into so much trouble with a credit card. Let's say your credit card limit is $10,000, right? You're going to pay what your credit card interest rate is, 25%. I mean, look, there's loan sharks that have better interest rates than 25, 28, 29% that you'll pay on a credit card. You should not be. And if you are, go get help. You need help if you're betting, if you're funding accounts with credit cards. That just should be a universal law in America that, like, in order to gamble, you have to have the physical cash in your hand. You must have it actually, in your bank account, and you fund it from a checking account or savings account, not a credit card. So I commend Mass for being on the forefront of this. I like that DraftKings is doing this. I wish everybody would follow this, but I didn't read FanDuel. That one thing I didn't read was FanDuel. FanDuel operates in Massachusetts. So you can 100% fund a FanDuel account with a credit card and then go to Massachusetts. And I guess FanDuel won't let you do it. I'll find out. I'll test this theory because I'm going to be in Massachusetts. So I'm going to go ahead and test the theory as to money in a FanDuel account. Can I play with it in Massachusetts? So we'll see if that happens. But man, yeah, PayPal is decent, but because you're funding it with actual money. But can you fund PayPal with a credit card? Like, can I take $100 from my credit card and put it into PayPal, and then from PayPal I put it into DraftKings? Does that get around this? It might. It might. Sonic says, I don't want my routing checking information showing up alongside my name on the dark web when FanDuel gets hacked. Well, look, I get the point. I get the sentiment, but that's hard to do. It's hard to keep your stuff off the internet when you're trying. I mean, again, you go fund it in person. The way you do that is fund it in person. You're right. Take the cash, go to the counter and fund it the old fashioned way. So yeah, you can still do that. And probably that's the safest way to do it like that. But a lot of folks don't do that. A lot of folks don't like to do that. So, okay, you can do that. Okay, but the vendor may not be required to accept it. Okay, good to know. But they could, they wanted to, if the books wanted it. So betting with credit cards equals calling the number. Yeah. Yep. Oh God, Anthony. Betting on credit cards is why I'm $5,000 in debt. Anthony, come on, my friend. Stop doing that. Let's cut the credit card in half. Don't use that. That's no good, man. Don't bet with credit cards. It's a bad idea. Betting with credit cards is a bad idea. Okay. Just not a good play. Again, if we're always worried about price, right? We talk about price discovery. We talk about, what price are you buying? What number are you buying, right? That's the most important thing in gambling. What the price is and what the number is. Two most important things. Well, if I bet $100 on a credit card, I'm not betting $100. I'm really betting like $125. Whatever that interest rate is, and then it compounds. That bet keeps on losing every month. That bet loses and loses and loses and loses. Think about that. Over the course of 12 months, if you don't pay that thing out, pay off immediately, you lose every month the same bet you made on Kansas State this weekend. It lost in August. It'll lose in September. It'll lose in October. It'll lose in November. That sucks. Like, there's no other way around that. That sucks. So that should keep you guys, think about it that way, and that should keep you off using your credit card to bet. It's hard enough to lose once. It sucks enough to lose one bet. How about lose the same bet 12 times every year for as long as that bet needs to be paid off? Yuck. Absolutely yuck. Do not do that. That is a horrible idea to do that. So DraftKings is not taking it anymore, which is good. But I wish the whole industry would do that. Whole industry says, no, we're not going to take that. Favorite thing about today. All right, favorite thing about today for me, I am all decked out in my UNLV stuff. It's not because they won over the weekend, didn't cover, but because today is day one, class one of another semester teaching I start my sixth year of coaching, well, kind of coaching, I guess, teaching at UNLV. Always fun. I have a gigantic class this semester. It's bordering on the biggest class I've ever had. Don't know if I've had 17 kids before. So that's going to be a very interesting situation for me to walk into the classroom here in 2 hours to meet these kids for the first time. Also because I'm going to have to teach it remote for 2 weeks because of the surgery. So that's not fun. I don't like that, but we'll roll with it. It'll be early in the semester and hopefully we'll have a great rest of the semester after that. But that's kind of, it's always a little nervous, even for the teacher on the first day of school when you walk in. And because so often I have sophomores and juniors that are in my class, like for the sophomores, they've had a year under their belt. So they're not like fully, ready to go, but juniors hit the ground running and they really want to get going and they don't like a lot of small talk. They want to go. So like day one's lecture has got to be somewhat of an entertaining piece. So we'll do that today. I'll let you guys tomorrow. I'll let you guys know how it goes, but first day of school is always a little nerve wracking and a little nerve. Yeah. Remote class for a few weeks. Yes. I get to teach in class. We have no class on Monday because of Labor Day, but then that Wednesday and then the following Monday, Wednesday will be remote until I can come back. I have to be cleared from the doctors to get on a plane. So as of right now, I'm scheduled to come back on the 20th of September. That's when I'm expected to be able to return to Las Vegas. But if something wonky happens and I'm not able to do that, then yeah, that would really suck. But as of right now, there's 5 days it would be remote for me. The 3rd, 8th, 10th, 15th, and 17th. And then I'm back on the 20th. So 5 classes remote is yuck. Like I hate that's going back to where we were during that's COVID. And I told them after COVID that if I ever had to teach again that way, I would never teach again if I had to teach over the internet because I can't do it. It's so difficult. Teaching an audio class is really hard. That's really hard, teaching an audio class over the internet. So not great, but September will be a little bit of a tough month for me, but then we'll get hopefully back in on the 20th and be okay and have everything rocking and rolling. So looking forward to all of that. My name is Matt Perrault. If you guys are not following us on socials, please do at Boston versus the book. Like, subscribe, tell somebody about the podcast, send a message to Dave at SportsBKConsig from time to time. Check in on our guy. He does look at his phone from time to time, so it's always good to send him some well wishes and send him a thought or two saying, hey, we're thinking about you. Come football season, we're missing you. We're missing the book. Our book. We're missing them. Back tomorrow for a Tuesday's Bostonian versus the book.